Great honour to welcome you all here this evening on this historic occasion, the inauguration of our dear friend Brian McGlinchey as Ireland's first Honorary Consul to Delaware. Very shortly, I promise, this special inauguration ceremony will be conducted by Ireland's Ambassador to the United States, Dan MULHALL, who's here with his wife, Greta. And before that, we will have some remarks from some of our very distinguished guests. May I take this opportunity to recognise Ambassador Kevin O'Malley, former US Ambassador to Ireland and a great friend to Ireland. It was, in fact, Ambassador O'Malley, I believe, who first introduced Brian to my predecessor, Ciarán Madden, thus helping to pave the way for today's important appointment. And that was such a welcome and fortunate introduction for us and for Ireland. I've had the pleasure now of meeting Brian on a number of occasions, initially by VC and then in person, and we know that he's going to be a superb Honorary Consul for Ireland. Indeed, he's already being exceptionally helpful to me and to my team in the consulate, and we're all looking forward to continuing to work closely with him. I know that Brian is a very modest person, but since his appointment was made known, we've seen so many glowing messages of endorsement and warm congratulations and tributes to him, showing the deep respect and admiration and esteem in which he is so widely held. And I think we can see that from the remarkable attendance in this room this evening. So before we commence the rest of our proceedings, there is one very special message which stands out and which we thought you might like to hear. So may I call on Valerie Biden, who has very kindly offered to read this very special message from a certain someone that we might all know.
I'm happy to read this to Brian and to be with all you Irish men and women and all those who wish you were. They can't, we all can't be Irish, but it's okay, Brian, right? Okay. This is from Joey. Dear Brian, congratulations on your appointment as the first Honorary Consul of Ireland for Delaware, my friend. Jill and I are thrilled to join Megan, Nora, and the entire McGlinchey family in celebrating you on this well-deserved honor. It's not in this letter, but part of that too is Bo's watching from heaven, and he's happy. I think Bo made this happen, really. That was a Biden going off the rails. I'll go back to Joe's letter now. As my grandfather, our grandfather, Ambrose Finnegan often reminded us, the best drop of blood in you is Irish. As a descendant of the Blewitts from County Mayo and the Finnegans of County Louth, my Irish-American family imbued in me a sense of pride that spoke of both continents, a heart and soul that drew from old and new, a pride in community, faith, and above all, family. I know you feel the same way too, Brian. As you know, the relationship between the United States and Ireland has been critical to our nation's success. It is meaningful to me, and I know it is to you too. For as long as we've known each other, you've been a critical part of the bedrock of the Irish-American community in our beloved Delaware, and no one deserves this position more than you do. I am confident that you will bring your passion, your work ethic, your positive attitude to this work, and continue to help build our diplomatic relationship with Ireland. I'm so proud to call you a friend. Me too. We Irish are the only people who are nostalgic for the future. Think about it. And despite these tough times, I have never been more optimistic about that future. I believe that our best days still lie ahead. As the Irish blessing says, wherever you go and whatever you do, May the luck of the Irish be there with you. Warm regards, Joe. I don't know how I'm supposed to yield the floor to, but it's really tough for Biden to do it. Who do I have to give it
to? Thank you so much, Valerie, for reading those very special remarks. And now I'd like to call on Mayor MIIKE PURZYCKI, please, to take the floor. Thank you.
There's a first for everything. I've never been introduced by a Consul General before. This is, it's interesting looking back a year or so ago when your predecessor was here, Kieran Madden. And so we don't have a lot of Kierans in America, so we had to scramble around to try to figure out how to say his name. And we didn't know if it was a Kieran, and then there's a little over the and Kieran, and so we struggled with this, and Carney got up and called him Saran, and it just broke the tie. Mr. Ambassador, Madam Consul General, my maternal grandmother, May Carlin, would be very proud of me at this moment to welcome you here. Wilmington has, as is the case in so many cities in America, a vibrant Irish community. Even to this day, we have neighborhoods that are uniquely Irish, and they, even if they're not Irish, they see themselves as Irish. You know, we have great St. Paddy's Day parades. I know, because I paint the green stripe down the middle of the road. It's, which gets harder and harder with every year, but let me say we are very proud and we are grateful to the Irish government for locating an office right here in Wilmington, and for appointing our good friend Brian McGlinchey as the first Honorary Consul General of Ireland to Delaware. I just hope it doesn't go into your head. I mean, do we have to call you anything different? Yep. I can see Brian in a big Cadillac with little flags on it. You know. We have a request from the Consul General to close Market Street so he can pass. Brian is respected everywhere, you know, at the levity aside. Brian is respected everywhere. He's marvelously experienced and he wears his Irish roots proudly. Hasn't missed a Notre Dame game in about 10 years, but he's worked at all levels of our government. For those of you who don't know well, he's worked for the General Assembly for 2 prior mayors, and he's a very close ally of this mayor. Throughout his career, he's worked with some of the most influential players in the region, and he's known to have the single most formidable Rolodex in Delaware. Like many successful men, he married extraordinarily well. Megan and I worked together for 20 years to my benefit, and she's still doing a marvelous job down the riverfront. So again to our friends from Ireland, we express our gratitude. I have a little something for you. For the ambassador, I have a key to our city.
I'm only 2 hours down the road, you know.
Don't tell me you have 200 others, but
no, I don't.
Here, the important thing is, if you forget my name, it's right there. You can always say, I can't help you pronouncing it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And Madam Consul General, we have a little something for you as well to help you remember us fondly, I hope. You're welcome to open up or just do it later. Thank you all. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And now, as I mentioned earlier, I think we'd like to hear from Ambassador Kevin O'Malley. Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Excellency, Mr. Mayor, Greta, good to see you again. First sister over there. So when the McGlincheys came to this country, when they crossed from Ireland over what James Joyce has referred to as the ocean of tears, the big bale of tears, filled up with the sadness of the immigrants coming to the United States. The commercial relationship between Ireland and the United States at that time consisted of the immigrants sending back a few extra dollars at Christmas time. I remember watching my grandmother do that at Christmas time. That was literally the commercial relationship between Ireland and the United States. Today, there are over 700 American companies prospering in Ireland and more than 700 Irish companies prospering here in the United States. There are literally billions of dollars in trade and investments that go back and forth over that veil of tears every day these days. There are tourists that go back and forth. Aer Lingus, the national airline of Ireland, flies a dozen flights every day to and from the United States into Ireland. Our best students study in their best universities. Their best students study in our universities. And we have found a way to do business and to exchange our culture in ways that are really the envy of the world. And that's the assignment that Ireland has entrusted to our friend Brian McGlinchey. Brian will now take on the role of trying to expand and broaden the wonderful commercial relationship between the United States and Ireland. He will take on the responsibility to broaden and deepen the great cultural ties between beautiful Delaware and Ireland. And that's a big job. And he may call upon us in his job to help him. And I hope that we all do. I hope that we take the festivities of this evening and remember when Brian needs us to do something to help Ireland and the United States increase that relationship, to broaden and deepen those ties, that we jump to help him. Because his success is literally our success. When Brian is successful, that means that Ireland and the United States have gotten closer together. And that's exactly what we should happen. That's exactly what should happen. So congratulations to my friend. I'm looking forward to great things from you and from Delaware. If you get too much business between Ireland and Delaware, send some of it to Missouri. We'd like that. And I think that as you go through your new responsibilities, and as we watch Brian go through his new responsibilities, we should remember that literally the only thing that separates Ireland from the United States, literally the only thing that separates Ireland from the United States is water. Okay. We are joined at the hip. Now, our relationship has lasted for decades, centuries. It gets better, it seems, all the time. We found a way not only to exchange our cultural values and our cultural talents, but we've brought that now into a commercial sense, which has enriched our communities, strengthened our families, provided great jobs on both sides of the Atlantic. So that's your job. Congratulations. Good luck.
No pressure, Brian. Thank you so much, Ambassador. And from one great ambassador to another, it's now my privilege to call on Ireland's ambassador to the United States, my dear colleague, Ambassador Dan Mulhall.
Thank you very much, Mayor PURZYCKI, Senator Carper, Consul General Nolan, Ambassador Kevin O'Malley. Special welcome to Valerie Biden-Owens, representing Delaware's #1 person, her brother, President Biden, who we recently discovered, among other things, I thought it was his love of Irish poetry that really got me, excited, because I'm also a poetry fan. Indeed, HELENA is an actual poet. I'm not, but HELENA is our Consul General. But it was when I discovered that he also has a love of Irish rugby that really, really did make me feel particularly happy about the relationship between Ireland and the United States. Anchored in poetry, in heritage and tradition, and indeed in rugby. So you can't get better than that, I think. I also want to recognise the family of Brian McGlinchey, his brothers and sisters, his wonderful wife Megan, and his great daughter Nora, and the doyenne of the McGlinchey family, Mrs. McGlinchey, who I had the pleasure of meeting on my last visit here to Delaware, and she's a wonderful woman, and it's beautiful to see her here again this evening. Thank you very much for gracing us with your presence. I knew, of course, that Brian was a Notre Dame graduate. I've been there a few times, you might imagine, for various events. But during the week, when I heard the news from Notre Dame, I thought, oh no, they're going to steal Brian as their new coach. But I was relieved when I saw that no, they were going to leave us, Brian, to represent us here in Delaware, and weren't going to grab him and take him off to South Bend to run their football program. But anyway, so look, a key thing about Ireland and America, Ireland and Delaware, is that there's so many strands to the relationship. There is the tradition created by the millions of people who crossed the Atlantic in the 19th and 20th centuries, in many cases fleeing from conditions of deprivation, misery, starvation, oppression, and found new lives for themselves here in this country, including in the great state of Delaware, where so many people of Irish descent now live. The number or the percentage of people of Irish descent here in this state is well above the national average. And the percentage, indeed, in the Newcastle County here is even higher, much higher. So this is a particularly Irish part of America. And that's why the Irish, myself, the Consul General, my wife Greta, the Consul General's husband Sammy, and the staff from the Consulate in New York all feel at home here, because we feel the Irish atmosphere of this place. It's something in the air here that makes us feel at home. So that's the first thing, this traditional link, which has been so important. Next year, we will be celebrating the centenary of Irish independence. And let me tell you, I doubt if Ireland would have become independent 100 years ago without the influence of Irish America, who were a factor in the process that led to Irish independence, because their influence here on the American administration and Congress was such that they were able to extend that influence across the Atlantic and have an impact on what was happening in Ireland 100 years ago this week, when the independence of Ireland was being negotiated in London between the British government and the representatives of the Irish Revolution of that period. So that's the first thing, is that tradition and the importance to us of Irish America has been undimmed over the generations, not just in helping us bring about our independence, but in more recent times, helping us to bring peace to Ireland. Because again, it was the influence of Irish Americans that brought the weight of the US administration to bear, and brought the parties in Northern Ireland together and encouraged them to make a historic compromise, which is reflected in the Good Friday Agreement of 1998. And even to this very day, Irish Americans in Congress and in the administration, including President Biden, are influential in standing up for the cause of peace in Ireland. And we are deeply grateful to all of you as representatives of this great tradition of Irish America for the influence, for the positive influence you continue to bring to bear on developments in Ireland, because our peace process, though it's one of the most successful peace processes of the last century, has ended violence for the last 25 years, has brought peace to our country. Nonetheless, it continues to need nurturing, because it continues to be under threat because of developments in various quarters. So that's the past and the present of the Irish-American relationship. And the future is one that Kevin O'Malley hinted at. It's a future where we will see more and more two-way interaction. The 19th century was essentially a one-way flow of people into this country. The 20th century saw a flow of investment and know-how and tourists from America, from Delaware, and from all parts of America to Ireland. The 21st century already is characterized by a two-way flow of trade and investment. The trading relationship between Ireland and the United States at the moment is in the region of $150 billion a year. When you consider that is two-way trade in goods and services. When you consider that our population is just 5 million, that tells you just how intensive that relationship is. So even in any circumstances, that is an important economic relationship. And then we have, apart from the companies, the US companies that are investing in Ireland and employing 170,000 people there are, we reckon, maybe 800 Irish-owned companies that are employing 120, 30,000 people in this country. So, and every year now, we get 60 to 70 new Irish companies coming in. And I hope that Brian's presence here will mean that some of those companies will decide to make their home here in Delaware and to employ people in the great state of Delaware. And I'm glad that there's already an Irish-American chamber here in Delaware run by Joe Fitzgerald, who I hope may be here this evening. But in any case, there's much to do for the future. I'd like to see more science and technology links, more links in research, in education, plus, of course, the great people-to-people links, the links in tourism and so forth. And I think that there is huge potential for the relationship between Ireland and Delaware to go even deeper and go further in the future than it already has over the past number of centuries, as Irish people have come and settled and made their lives in the great state of Delaware. So with that, I want to say what a great thing it is for Ireland to have our first Honorary Consul General in the first state. And as part of my official duties, the official part of the programme is for me to present an Irish flag to Brian, to our new Honorary Consul General. So please come up and accept this flag. And this is the flag that you will proudly fly over the consulate here in Delaware, to demonstrate that Ireland is a presence here in Delaware through you and your family and your friends. Thank you very much. And I also have, sorry, Brian, sorry. I have more things to say. You're not getting me that lightly, okay? Now, while the flag is...
We got a United States Senator or Governor here. We better be quick here.
Oh. While the flag is light, the escutcheon is not. So I'm not going to hand it to you. But this is your escutcheon, which will represent the fact that you are representing the government of Ireland. This is the official logo of the Irish state. The Irish state. I also have here Brian's letter of appointment, signed by the Secretary General of the Department of Foreign Affairs in Dublin. I won't read it to you, but it's here. I'm going to give it to Brian, and I'm going to ask Brian to sign his name to tell us that he accepts the position of Honorary Consul of Ireland in Delaware. Thank you. So I now hand the microphone over to the Honorary Consul General of Ireland in Delaware, Mr. Brian McGlinchey, a great friend, a hero of the Irish in Delaware. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I'm going to thank you very much, Ambassador, for this privilege. HELENA, Vicky, Dermot, thank you all. From the bottom of my heart, to know me is to know Ireland. It's in my DNA. My mom is here. Mom, I love you. I know Dad is watching when he got on a boat. My brother Bill is here, and Dan. My sister Noreen and Marianne and her daughter Melissa. My mother-in-law, who married one of the nicest, most decent Irish gentlemen you would ever meet, Jack, who is very much my thoughts. My sister-in-law, Kate, Bill's better half, we both married up. And my goddaughter, Fiona. And I know Declan is here in spirit at the University of Delaware. And I would be nothing without Megan and Nora. I wear this clouter ring because it reminds me of the things that my father taught me that mattered. Faith, family, education, community, and that's what we see here. I was very nervous about this and frankly quite embarrassed about it. But then I realized I was here with family, friends, and people I love. And it made it that much easier. This is a position of considerable responsibility. It's not a vanity appointment, and it's something I take very seriously in terms of facilitating economic development in our state, which, by the way, Governor Carper and Governor Carney, Senator Carper, then Governor Carper, Ed Friel actually wrote the template for what has become a body of policy in Ireland itself with respect to corporate law. And I'd like to acknowledge that publicly. My friend John Carney, who I equally overachieved in having friends, has done extensive work in Ireland with Secretary of State Bullock in developing already a partnership that we hope to build on. And I'm very proud of his friendship and his presence here today, wherever John is. John, I apologize, my glasses are off because as Megan kids me all the time, my sight might be getting worse, so I think it's time to. But anyway, there he is. Thank you. Thank you, Governor. There may be as good a public officials as John Carney, but there's none better. And his mom and dad, who knew my mother and father, Jack and Ann, I hope your father, Jack, is smiling. John. My friend, the mayor, I cannot thank him enough. I love him. I worked with a couple other Irish mayors in my time, two heroes that aren't here today, Bill McLaughlin and Tom Maloney. And two other guys that are here today that are worth pointing out, Harris McDowell and David McBride. And I love Harris. He represented this city and exemplifies the best of everything about the state of Delaware. He has passed a body of legislation that actually has truly made a mark, and he never really got a fair farewell due to COVID, so I'd like to recognize him here today. But he was actually topped because Dave McBride introduced me to Megan. And I cannot thank Dave and Margaret for being here today, making the trip up. Really, frankly, overwhelmed. I saw some other friends here from the Delaware General Assembly, Representative Bolden, Representative Griffiths, and I saw Councilman Kenny Woods. I just thank everybody, all the elected officials that are here today. One thing I wanted to mention, and it's a story, and I think it exemplifies Ireland very well. And I was speaking with the ambassador and his wife earlier at the Hotel de Pont, and it involves my daughter Nora and my mom's side, the O'Malleys. Ambassador O'Malley, the O'Malleys. He didn't rig it for me, trust me. We don't think we're related. But we rolled up in County Mayo in Westport a few years ago in the car, and my poor cousin Tom was cutting the yard, wasn't he, Megan, at the time? And I didn't tell him we were coming. And we had to go to a local pub and find out exactly where his house was, because unfortunately my note-taking when I was talking to Mom wasn't the best at the time. And they knew exactly where Tommy Joe lived. And they knew the exact house. So we got out of the vehicle, and it had been 30 years since I had been. And I've grown a little bit since then. But Tommy Joe took Nora by the hand to my grandmother, Mary O'Malley's home, and took out a slate of rock, right, Nora? That she still has to this day from where my family was from. And it's that kind of generosity that exemplifies Delaware and the Irish spirit. And that's what I want to pay forward. This is not a vanity appointment. This is an appointment of service. It's working with other Irish organizations. I see my friends John McMahon and John Casey and Mike Hare, who I love like a brother, who are part of the St. Patrick's Society that I know the governor is always front row and center on. Organizations like the Ancient Order of Hibernians, my friends Fran Lucy and Pat McNamara, the Newcastle County Irish Society. Joe Fitzgerald has done a ton of work. A round of applause for Joe. I think he worked in partnership with the governor on the commission, which Sean Finnegan serves, and Bernard Brady. And I am truly humbled and looking forward to partnering with existing organizations, as well as promoting Irish-based companies that are located here, and American companies that are located in Ireland and vice versa. So if I forgot anybody, I saw Tom Gordon here, former county executive. I saw Ted Blunt here. I apologize, but I love you all, and it means a great deal. And thank you very, very much. Last thing I do want to say, and thank God I remembered. My good friend Mike Kelly, who hired me at McCarter and English, can't be here today. Mike is battling cancer. And I would ask you all to keep Michael in his prayers. But our practice manager, if it was not for the benevolence of my firm, and Guillermo is here, Artiles, and please everyone recognize him. I wouldn't be afforded this opportunity. Not every employer is enthusiastic when someone wants to take on a position like this. So Guillermo, to the entire McCarter team, thank you. And please, if each of you have a great time, but raise a glass to Michael tonight. I'm dedicating this to him and his spirit tonight. Thank you very much.
I think it's appropriate that we should give the final word to the governor. And I love the governor. I love his name, Governor Carney. It's a name that always makes my heart beat a little bit faster. Governor, you're very welcome. The governor of the first state.
I'm pretty sure that we shouldn't end this ceremony with my remarks, and I'll keep them brief. And first, I need to apologize for not getting back to you all about whether I was able to make it tonight. When I got this notice on my cell phone that said that Brian McGlinchey was being appointed as the first Honorary Consul in Delaware by the Ambassador of Ireland. As I look around the room, I see a lot of people who've been saying they're the Honorary Consul to the Ambassador of Ireland. Casey and Kelly and McMahon, you name it. Even Ted Blunt from time to time has tried to take this honor. I think for them it was a vanity appointment, and so I'm glad to be here to see the real Honorary Consul to the Ambassador. Mr. Ambassador, and finally, Mr. Ambassador, you couldn't have picked a better person, more representative of our country, more representative of our great state of Delaware, more representative of the Irish here in the great state of Delaware than Brian, and you saw that and heard that in the words that he shared. Brian and I share some history in our employment, which is now a good thing for me. We both worked at one time for the Catholic Diocese here as the head of the Catholic Youth Organization, and I turned the reins of that job over to Brian and left and went to work for then Senator Joe Biden. This is back in 1986. And then after I left Senator Biden's office, Brian came and worked for Senator Biden for a second. So I'm hoping, Mr. Ambassador, that maybe after Brian's done, God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Governor. Thank you, everybody, and congratulations, Brian. I'm sure Brian won't mind if we give the final moment of the evening to the great women in his life. So, we'd like to pay tribute to Brian's mother, Noreen, and to Brian's wife, Megan, and to Brian's lovely daughter, Nora. Congratulations, ladies.